Well, I guess we're gonna get right into this Homelite Ez and start on the carburetor and get it all cleaned out. We're gonna pull this plate out. And this one is a Walbro HDC. And I may move you over to my other side so you can see everything that's going on. Hold on just a minute. All right, I'm back. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this gasket out and replace it with a new gasket. We're gonna spray this out with some brake parts cleaner and then put the new gasket in. I mean, everything in there looks pretty good. I mean, it all looks clean. Which don't usually have any issues in there anyway. Not at that point. I don't. There's probably some people out there that do. So we'll just dump all these gaskets out and then go through and see what we need out of it. Not quite the same, but this one is, so we're going to use this one. Well, let me spin it around for you. And these gaskets got a little tab on them right here, and it lines up with the notch in the carburetor right there, just like that. And now we'll put the where we're going to put the new needle in. Take the spring, put it back down a little detent which it goes in, and hope it stays. Mine's jumping around pretty good right now. All right, just like that. We'll take the old needle and drop it off over there. We don't need it anymore. And make sure you hook the metering lever up underneath the little ball on the needle. Now we're gonna put the screws back in. Not gonna tighten them up all the way just yet. We got both of them in there. We'll tighten them both up all the way. Well, that didn't go good. All right. I'm gonna make sure that little arm is completely level with the top of the carburetor. You see it's not snagging on anything, and it just barely touches it. That's where you want to be. So we'll get the new gasket, lay it down, and then take the new diaphragm, metering diaphragm, and lay it on top. We're ready to button this thing back up. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this off too. Doesn't really matter, but I'm going to anyhow. Yeah, it'll sit there somewhere. That little dude lined up there, and then start putting the screws back in. And I'll move my big hand here in a minute. And just like that, and then we'll just tighten the screws up. Just a little bit at a time. Just make sure everything goes down pretty even. And now we'll tighten it up. Now it's time for the pump side, so we'll start on it. And we'll start by finding the old gasket, the old pump diaphragm. And those two line up pretty good, so we'll use this gasket and this diaphragm. Pump diaphragm. A pump diaphragm goes on first, and then your gasket last. So it should look something about like this on the top portion of the carburetor. Now I did go ahead and pull the old screen out, so I'll put a new one in. If I can figure out where I laid it at. No, it didn't come out of the pack. And it goes in right here. So it should look like that when you get it in right there. And the cup part goes up here towards the top like this. Since we figured out which which gasket we're using. We'll go ahead and lay this on top of, and if I lay this on here and pull it back off, it should line up pretty close to being right. So we'll take this back off. And you're actually covering, get my pointer back out, you're actually covering a hole right here with one of those tabs, and then there's another one right here with a tab too. I'll pull it up and let you look. Now we'll just line up the little pins. Now, if I can keep it in my hand. Set it back down on there. Get the screw that holds it down. Then we'll tighten it up. Just one single screw on the fuel pump side. There's 4 on the diaphragm side, the metering diaphragm. And that's it. That's all there is to rebuilding a Walbro HDC. Next step now is actually put it in that Homelite right there. So I don't know how well it's going to go back in because it was a chore getting it out. So what we'll do is we'll take these screws here and I'll clean these up too with a brake perch cleaner. Screws just go in through the back of the carburetor. There's no plate or anything back here. We'll get you raised up so you can look down inside the air box on the saw, and we'll get this thing put in. All right. I hope you can see this fairly well. So what we got is we got a throttle rod to hook up. It's really isn't that big of a deal. You just find the way that the rod is bent and stick it into the little hole right there. Yeah, I'll get it in frame in a minute. Right there for the throttle butterfly. Just like that. And then work all this stuff back down inside the saw. Which sometimes is harder than what it needs to be. Pull the choke back out of the way. And then we're going to take and try to line the adjustment screws up with the holes on the side. Sometimes it goes good, other times it's just a pain in the butt. And this one's going to be a pain in the butt and fight me the whole time. I'm going to try to get them to come through right there. Which the top screw isn't any problem. I mean, it just goes right in. It's the adjustment screws that usually give a little issue. Yeah, I'm pretty good lined up, but still, I'm just gonna work the screw back and forth and hope it clears into the rubber. Which my low jack screw is the one that's binding up. Take a light and I'll look down in there and see what I've got. They're trying. I'm almost there. There they are. So now the next step is to start the bolts that go and actually hold the carburetor on. And on these EZs, they're a pain in the butt because there's not enough room to get to the end of them and have to run a wrench the whole time. They're right down in there, right there. Get the other one started. I'm gonna go ahead and put the choke on just for the fact that the butterfly won't be in the way of turning the wrench. Not the easiest design in the world to try to fix, just because everything's so tight. And I'm just using a 5/16 wrench, and I don't really want to get just carried away and just over tighten them or anything. So a lot of the saw still got plastic on it. We'll take the choke lever and spin it in here after the carburetor's put in. And now I'm gonna find this little cotter pin, push it back in. That's why I haven't done any other work or anything on here, just because I wanted to leave everything laying right here. That way maybe I wouldn't have lost it, but it seems like I've lost it, so. Give me a minute to find it. All right, so I have found it now. It's like that big. It's not very big at all. And it's gonna slip just right in a little hole on this choke lever. I'm gonna attempt to do it with my hand. And I did, I got it in there. The first try. Not gonna complain about it. Not in the least little bit. So now I'll take my needle nose, go down in and bend this tab up on the cotter pin so it don't back out or anything. Works just like it's supposed to. We'll hook a fuel line up and we'll pour gas back in here again. I had to drain the tank because when I run the new line, it just kept pouring back out of the line. So now we'll dump some fresh gas back in here again. And I know there's a lot of people out there that say run 32 to 1, run 17 to 1, run 40 to 1. I just mix everything 50 to 1 and run it. I'm using a synthetic oil and I've never had any trouble at anything. And I've run it in, well, I've run it in that one right there at 50 to 1 with the new synthetic oil and gas mix. So now we'll see if it fires over. Well, first let's go ahead and bottom the adjustments out, and I'm gonna come back off one turn because that should be plenty enough for it to fire off on. Turn you around here so maybe you can see what's going on here. Ooh. I will give it a little drink out of my little squirt can here. Apparently it didn't like that very well, so we'll try it again. finish up putting the, well, let's go ahead and finish putting the air filter on. So it's got this little bracket here. Gonna have 2 screws, which I probably done slid them over now. Right here that hold this bracket on. Not really sure which direction the bracket actually goes on, but I'm gonna put it on like this with the lip towards the back of the carburetor. I don't remember how it come off. I didn't pay much attention to it and haven't watched the video. Muffler just a little bit warm. But back in this era, there wasn't really much of a muffler anyway. They was just kind of there. Alright, get the screwdriver out. Let's tighten these 2 screws up right here. One on this side and one on the other side. Next we'll install the air filter, which I took it and sprayed it off with brake parts cleaner, save from having to go get a new one just to try it. Set the air filter cover on. Tighten it down. And now we'll get to the part about the bar and chain. So we got this chain guide for the inside. We'll wipe it off, put it on. If you ever have any questions about where the chain guide actually goes on at, just remember the small narrow slot goes up top, and then the larger slot, wide slot, goes in the bottom. Just like that. And something else good about these guide plates is you can take them and actually rake the bar out with them too. They work pretty good for that. That way you can clean the groove in the bar. Take a pick now and just make sure that the holes for the oiler is clean. Make sure the adjuster holes are clean. I mean, I know it's not going to stay like that for very long, but you know, every little bit helps. And now we'll take the adjuster, we'll run the adjuster in. I just like everything to go back together clean. Take the chain. So these, you got to work around the outboard clutch. It's a little bit of a chore. Lay the chain on the bar, and then we'll get the side cover. Put it on. No. Put your guide plate on first, and then we'll put the side cover on. These old saws, they come out with washers. They said just bar nuts, they had washers. Just take them hand tight. And then we'll adjust the bar out. Put tension on the chain. Which I don't like to run a whole lot of tension. It being a hard nose bar and not sprocket nose, it's got a lot of friction on it anyhow. So I'll probably run it pretty loose. And this poor little chain, it's seen better days. It's about shot. So we'll pick the bar up by the tip and we'll tighten it just to where it touches. Spin the chain, and that lets it center itself in the sprocket. So now I'm just gonna hit it just about a half a turn. And now we'll tighten down the nuts. Start it one more time. Well, apparently putting the air filter on put too much resistance on it. That's it for the Homelite Ez. I appreciate you watching. If you don't care, could you, well, something I've never asked for before, could you just give a thumbs up if you liked it? I appreciate it. Thank you.